It goes beyond intimate. I sit here before you, the humble, answer to a prayer, the dream come true to someone else who, long before anyone in this room was like, I'm a fan of Kevin Smith, was a hardcore fan of Kevin Smith. So much so that she came out in the wee hours of the morning when we were making Clerks, take somebody else's place in the movie. The Milkmaid was not supposed to be played by Grace Smith. It was supposed to be played by some Atlantic Highlands First Avenue Playhouse performer, who, when they found out that they were going to have to come act at 2 in the morning, just did not fucking show up. So I got on the payphone, because we had no cell phones in those days, and quickly called my mom and woke her up at 2 in the morning to be like, Mom, the person who's supposed to do this thing isn't here. Can you please come down here and do this? If we don't do this tonight, we won't get it, and we'll miss out on this thing. I need somebody to do this. She's like, oh, fine, I'll come down and did it. And like my heroine, that she'd always been, came down to Leonardo in the middle of the night, did a shot that will forever live in my head and heart, not just because it's like, oh, that's the Milkmaid, one of the funniest moments in the movie, or oh, that's the Milkmaid, that's my mom. It was my mom going above and beyond, even for something she didn't quite get her head around at that point. Like, she wasn't somebody who was like, I know where all this is going. She just wanted to help out her kid. We're going to hear all about it. I welcome to the stage of Smodcastle. This Smodcastle is about to feel more honor than the weight of the walls of the Smodcastle can bear. Give it up for my mother, ladies and gentlemen, Grace Smith.
Thank you so much. Long trip from Florida to be here.
It was. It took you a minute to get here. How are you doing?
Great, wonderful.
Don't forget that microphone.
Great, wonderful. Hello, everybody. Coming. Oh my God, it echoes so. No.
He's got, what is that, coffee for you?
Tea.
Tea, very nice. Well, look
Thank
at you,
you.
fucking, like, playing it hardcore out here tonight.
Yeah.
Like, bring me my tea.
Well, it's so nice to have men around you all day. Oh, you wouldn't know that.
We sell a shirt here at Smodcastle that on the back says, I received oral pleasure at Smodcastle. And my mother was like, I want 2 of those. I was like, do you understand that joke? She's like, Tiger, please. I can lay a lot of credit at people's feet. Jordan always makes fun of me. Jordan is Jason's wife. She runs our company, Smodco. She always makes fun of me. She's like, boy, I've met so many people who are responsible for Clerks. Oddly enough, you're never one of them. Because whenever I introduce people, I'm like, without this person, Clerks never would have happened. Without this person, Clerks never would have happened. And she's like, you always throw the credit around and stuff. And that's because it was a collective effort. However, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, I'm not being facetious, this is just fucking biological fact. There would be no Clerks if it were not for the woman sitting to my fucking left. Now, I'm going to take you back as far as I can take you back, because Mom's like, what were we talking about? I said, I'm going to take you back to the 90s, but I'm going to take you further back. Do you remember when you guys fucked and made me?
I said you were born.
I know, the porn part, that's like TV movie shit. What we all want to hear is the nasty. Like, were you watching TV with them and he was like, this is boring, let's fuck? Or was he in bed and he was like, you up, you up, you up, let's make a baby? Like, how did it happen? Into the mic.
Okay, of course, because I had 2, so we needed one a little bit longer down the line.
You definitely wanted
Same
3
day.
kids?
No, we wanted 5 actually.
You wanted to have 5
Yeah.
children? Why?
Were we crazy?
Into the microphone, we'll talk.
Were we? Your father and I were like, wow, when did we ever say that? We couldn't even think about
You were
in
Catholic.
college.
If you hold it up,
Think about
above
putting you
the
in
table,
college.
then-
Okay, there we go. That's
Right
good.
there.
My voice is too deep yet from flying and such. But no, we, I guess, never really given a thought about 5 children. having, you know, expense and then maybe even
Well,
college.
you came from a family of 5, and how
Oh, yeah.
many of your kids were in this family?
Daddy's was for them.
So that was the idea. The idea
Yeah.
was like,
That's what we
be fruitful
compromised.
and multiply. and
Right,
stuff.
right. I have to bring more Smiths into the world. There wasn't enough of them.
Let's take it all back to when we first met, which I guess is
When you first met? Me and
yeah.
your father, not you.
No, me and you.
Oh, okay. Me and you?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you were the cute little 8-pound, 3-ounce baby, and there your father was having a heart
You're
failure.
adorable. It was 8 pounds 9 ounces.
Don't make it sound so big, you know.
You left the 6 ounces off for savings.
Yes.
I'm
Only one of
born.
him, though. Only one of him.
I'm born. Where am I born? There's Virginia. There's Donald. Then
And
there's.
you're the third, you know,
But there was one you lost before me.
and one after you.
and
That's
one
why I told you God has always chosen you for the family, for your father and I, and for what was ever ahead in our life.
Which is so sweet the way you put it, but what I heard in my head is you have ghost brothers. Dead siblings you'll never meet. And you'll solve crimes with them and shit. Get kids out of jams. It was like a Saturday morning cartoon waiting to happen.
Right?
Um,
See, when you tell them too much, that's what happens. You're always out there with what's next, Kevin.
let's take us
Okay.
to the era of I mean, you were there for fucking everything. What do you remember about me as a kid that would have remotely made you think, oh, one day he'll do the shit he does for a living?
When you're a fanatic about Star Wars, you played with your friend across the street from New York,
Peter King.
King King, that was his soul.
Peter King died. He got hit by a car in New York, sadly, years and
Yep.
years ago.
But they were like inseparable. Morning, we'd get up, okay, have breakfast across the street to Peter. They were from New York. So they come
Pete and
down
his
every
family
summer.
would come down to
Every
the
summer.
bungalow, their bungalow in the summertime, like to spend the summer on the Jersey Shore. They lived in what was then intolerable Brooklyn. So they would come
So
and
they
like
do.
spend the summers down there, and so me and Pete would just play Star Wars all the time. But is that what you think of when you think of me? Or like, oh, he was that, of the 3 kids, he was the heavy one that played Star Wars a lot?
Yes, when you were babied and by me and your father, even take him, long story, take him out of school, right?
I've
Take him to
told that
movies.
story many times.
Right, but no, you just hope as a parent, and look, you have your beautiful Harley, one child, and that's, the apple of your eye, everything. But you always hope and pray that, those children ahead of you and your father wanted to live through your children. That's what he always said to me. Because he was a little older than I was. And he just said, just watching the children grow up, never thinking ahead in the future what would be with your wonderful success and everything like that you brought to the family and everybody, that you just think, well, let's see, he's going to work hard. No, I don't like to cut grass. No, I don't like to. He's going to work hard. He works in a quick stop. Check.
Quick step.
Stop. All right, okay. I come from Florida. And, so many things. But then all of a sudden you had this inspiration, and your brother and sister saw it about your writing, about writing, and all your thoughts and everything like that to put down. And as you always say, your sister and brother pushed you. Your sister said, you can do it, Kevin. Go ahead, And they probably saw more than I could even visualize in my life as a parent and a mother. And, I'm all over the place in my mind right now. I remember your father watching Jersey Girl, and he cried. Remember?
Yeah.
He came down.
He was like, my son's ruined. Why did I have to follow Gigli?
That was it, yeah.
Was there
Gigli.
ever like if somebody asked you to describe me when I wasn't around as a kid, how would you have done it?
You were a good kid. You were spoiled, but you were a good kid.
What the fuck? Spoiled? What kid are you talking about? One of the ghost children?
No, the other two, when they were went off to, wait, he will say this to you, they went off to college. He was home until he was 23.
Yeah.
His
No,
father
I tell
and
him.
didn't want to
Believe me,
leave
I've told
him.
him on many podcasts.
Oh my
I'm very
God,
proud of
I
that.
missed that.
I told my own kid, I'm like, stay the fuck home until you're 23, like I
Right, you
did.
should listen. Stayed home. But anyhow, did he tell you I put his towels in a hot dryer until he's ready to come out in the shower? and handed him the door to him. His sister will never let me live it down. And his brother just looked at me like, Mother, really? No wonder why he's not leaving home until he's 23. We're all in college already, taking care of ourselves and paying our bills.
There's no reason to leave. Like, somebody would hand you a hot fucking towel. I was like, thank you, Jeeves. I'll see you on the parlor for ping pong.
And, then we go to the movies with you. Anything you said, you start out laying on his belly when you were small.
Mm-hmm. He used to watch TV and I'd lay on his stomach and T-bone him like this, which sounds way fucking dirtier than I meant to. But he'd lay this way and I'd lay on his stomach watching Bowling for Dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Were you, now he took me to the movies a lot, famously, we've talked about it many times, all over the joint. Were you ever, we went to the movies too, like sometimes we all went as a family and sometimes it was me, Mom and Dad, but mostly it was just me and Dad. When he took me to the movies, were you like, oh fucking thank God, both of them are gone, I get some fucking peace?
I worry about both these going to the movies.
Why?
Did you go one time to get gas in your car and you pulled out how many credit cards before you could finally get a tank of gas?
Yes.
Your father was getting worried because your father never carried a wallet, and if he did, it moths came out of it because he never opened it. But that's a big family joke.
I was trying to charge gas and I went through like 4 cars because each one was like packed up. And my father was sitting in the car going, "You all right?" And I was like, yeah. And apparently he went on and fucking ratted on me and shit. Grace, you should have seen him. 4 fucking credit cards. I was embarrassed.
He was sitting in the car.
He was just like, thank God I didn't have to get out of the car.
Right. And he had no credit cards or wallet on him. So you weren't going to be pushing that car home.
That's true. That dude never carried cash, didn't have credit cards. I don't know why he was judging you by my shit. So, do you remember when I come to you guys and I'm like, I want to go to film school? I filled out
my heart dropped. I can tell you that quick one. Really. I mean, you take him over to New York, right? And he goes into the semester that's half done. So he gets stuck with going to an apartment.
This is me going to the New School for Social Research in Manhattan, not Vancouver. But
right. And
she still won't let this fucking go. The heartbreak of me moving into a dorm. Tell him this first world problem.
Oh my God. Well, we walked in and there's a bunch of guys hanging around, right? So I'm looking around. There's a picnic bench over here for the table in the refrigerator. Open your refrigerator.
And by guys hanging around, she means my dorm mates.
Yeah, doctor's kids, right? And open the refrigerator.
And by doctor's kids, she means rich kids.
Right. Absolutely. I was trying to be nice. Anyhow, and open the refrigerator door, and there's a pair of sneakers in there. Now, I said to his father, I can't leave him here. You know that, don't you? He said, well, let's take him home. I said, well, you got to tell him. He said, I ain't going to tell him. You tell him. You're the mother. And I said, okay, honey. And then we go into the room where he's going to be. And it's like a wedge put into the ceiling support or something like that.
The bunk
that
bed
was a bunk
is
bed
high
and a wedge.
ceiling, and your desk unit was like below it and stuff. So you slept kind of close to the ceiling, and then you had your workspace under it.
And then you looked out the window, and there was an apartment next door, and people looking in at you, what the hell is going on in there?
For anyone listening from a city, city living. But this was the first time we from the Jersey suburbs, or at least you guys, you've been from Newark, and like, but there was
we
not.
Never went to New York never went to New York where there was apartments that we were going to go into or anything. We went to a big show.
We rarely went to New York. And here they were coming into like, was it 12th? It's 12th Street at this point. Right down Union Square. And her walking into dorm room. You walk in a dorm room and see a pair of sneakers in the fridge. You're like, charming. Looks like a movie. My mom saw the sneakers in the fridge. She's like, that's it. We're leaving. And then
I'll never eat.
Drove home crying.
Oh my God. The guy stopped to do the windshield wipers, and stuff like that.
The squeegee guy?
Yeah, the squeegee guy. And I just looked at him and said, this is the end of New York for me. End of $5.
That was it?
Went home.
Sneakers in the fridge? Guy cleaning my windshield? Fuck this city.
No kidding. Your father and I cried all the way home, both of us. And just said, can't I turn around and go back and get him? No. You can't embarrass him, honey. You got to let him have a little space.
That would have been amazing if you were like, get in the car. I'm like, why? Like sneakers in the fridge. I'm like, goodbye, new roommates. My parents said I can't stay here.
You lost a lot of weight walking back and forth to school and not eating just about, right?
I did, as a matter of fact, because I walked to class and stuff. That also happened in Vancouver, which I had to walk a lot further. So
then you come home on the bus on Friday and say, oh, I'm done, there's no classes today. Your father and I believed you for a long time until that letter came. That you tried to get it in the mailbox on Fridays while you came home. I found out.
Yeah, they were like, why aren't you in class every Friday? And Mom was like, you're supposed to be in class. I was like, wow. You know.
So I gotta get out before traffic from New York, mind you nowadays.
That was my point. I was like,
Yeah,
before the rush hour
buses.
traffic begins, she's like, your class is at 9 a.m. And I was like, I know, but it's Shakespeare. It's really boring. I dropped out of that school and dropped out of many places, including Brookdale. And then I applied to the Vancouver Film School. Do you remember me telling you guys that I'm going to go to Vancouver? Yeah.
Oh my God, I got your brother already.
Into the mic.
I said, oh my God, I called your brother right away.
And what'd you say?
4 years older. Your brother wants to go to Canada at Vancouver Film School. He goes, what? I said, yeah, and he's got his word processor, his famous word processor he never let go of.
It's an electric typewriter keyboard that you plug into a separate disk drive that holds floppy disks, and then you put a monitor, dot matrix monitor on it, and it turned an electric typewriter into a word processor, this giant word processor. Something now you could do on your phone on a fucking Pages program or something.
Ask him if he still has it.
I still have it. I wrote Clerks on it. I'm not fucking giving that up. That thing was like the greatest gift I've ever received in my entire life, and I include on that list, getting an AT-AT, getting a fucking Laserdisc player, and getting my child, the gift of my child. That word processor paid off forever. Like, not only did it write Clerks and that changed everything, but, so many hours whiled away in front of that thing, dreaming and writing. I just found fairly recently in my office a bunch of binders that Ming had printed out everything he got off those discs, which it took him a long time to do it because he had to find a reverse program that would find this ancient tech and translate it and stuff. But he printed up all the shit, and the other morning I was going through all this writing, and it's just a lot of gobbledygook, a lot of trash, a lot of it just so many unfinished symphonies and shit like that you'll never want to hear. But it's just a guy who's yearning, somebody who's trying, somebody who just wants to do something more, somebody who feels like, I know there's something in me. I smell something here. And that fucking word processor, which came from you, Dad, Virginia, and Donald, was absolutely everything. So, of course, I'll never get rid of that. In fact, I found it recently in the office. I didn't find it. I know where it was. It was in the closet, but I saw it recently, and I was like, this should be in the window. It should be in the window at the secret stash. We don't get to a secret stash without this fucking Smith word processor.
That's really should be.
It's very true. Okay. It will be. All right, so
next time back.
Thank you, Mom. I'm glad you're here. When I came home from film school.
Oh yeah. Okay. He's dropping out. I mean, you already got with Scott. You already were with Scott, and then you were taking.
But I mean, yes, I did drop out. Was there a sense?
Cross-dresser.
Yeah, we were doing the documentary about Mayday. But the question though is.
He thinks I don't have a memory yet. I'm 76 next week. He's taking me to Graceland.
I am. I'm taking Grace to Graceland next week. If none of these fine people have given us the Omicron virus, yes, we're going to Graceland next week.
I believe they're all very conscientious of coming here and making sure they have all their shots and everything. Where's your cards? So I can check them out.
Do you, so I come home from film school. Mind you, I had dropped out of college in Manhattan. I had dropped out of, going to Brookdale. I had quit jobs left and right. One day I worked at a fucking Domino's for 4 hours. I worked at an Italian bakery for an hour and a half and came home and I was like, I don't like it, Mom. So I quit.
When that guy did that to you, I almost killed him.
I worked at a cemetery and my mom, my mom thinks it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. I was working for this guy who was like a groundskeeper, man. He did yards and shit, but one of his fucking roots was the cemetery over in Oceanport.
Yep.
So he had a big rider mower and he'd ride between the graves and shit like that. But also he worked the cemetery as the groundskeeper. And so that means he uses backhoe to fucking dig graves. You pull this I don't know how you describe it, crane looking fucking thing and it picks up the earth.
I'm sure they're all smart to know what a backhoe is.
Everyone knows what a backhoe is. His backhoe went out, so he was like, come on, Kevin, grab a shovel. And we had to hand dig some motherfucker's grave, man.
Yeah.
And I told my mother that, and she was like, they're leaving that job. No son of mine is going to dig graves. You're no grave. I didn't raise a grave digger.
I was going to call the New Jersey Board of whatever I could find. I was so mad. I said,
Grave Diggers Union?
there you go. But I couldn't
It's
believe
still,
that
he's
guy
still
did
here.
that.
He gets her dandruff still to this
Oh.
day. That son of a bitch made you dig a grave.
I wanted to go.
Honestly, now that I think about it, like, I want to go find that fucking grave and be like, I took that. It's such a satisfaction. Yeah. Absolutely.
But no, that was totally, I mean, no one would take me serious that I wanted to go to the board in New Jersey here and then report child,
A child of 22. He won't leave my boy alone. How old's your boy? Was he 9? No, he's 22. But why is he digging graves?
Right.
When I came home from Vancouver Film School, I'm going to tell you my perception.
Yes.
So I came home from Vancouver Film School, and my parents would never be like fucking loser, but they were like, welcome back, Kev, and your room is waiting, and here is your hot towel. So like any good parent, they don't make you feel fucking shitty. They like my parents were like, oh hey Hollywood, how'd it go out there, Hollywood? I didn't go to Hollywood, I went to Vancouver. They were very, very cool, and life kind of went back to normal. But I told them, from the moment before I came back to the moment I got back to the house, I was like, I am making a movie. I'm writing a script right now, and I'm going to make a movie in December of this year. I came home July 92. The intention was to shoot a movie in December of 92. That movie would become Clerks. So, I told them, I'm like, yes, I did drop out of film school, but this is the last thing that I'm quitting. Because, like, I got a plan now. I know what I'm going to do then going forward. When I finally said, like, hey, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to make this movie, and I didn't bug my parents about it for money or anything. I told them I had credit cards until I needed to when, we couldn't rent equipment from Spirit Corp and we needed, like, actual cash, and I was like, Ma.
A Steenbeck. Oh my God.
Well, that was the Steenbeck and the camera. I was like, they won't take a credit card, they'll only take cash. And my mom went to my dad's credit union and pulled out fucking $3,000, which is literally like all the money that some people have, like, oh, we put our savings away and we got like $20K sitting away. $3K was what they fucking had. They gave me that $3K, and they were like, please, Kevin, give it back. And that's where Clerks got serious, because I was like, up till now, it's shits and giggles on credit cards,
Right.
Suddenly it's like, this is my parents' house money and shit. So it became, it was probably a wise investment, because it made me try even harder, because I'm like, oh shit. Now somebody's counting on me, not just me wanting to do a fucking thing. But I always got the impression, when I asked for the money and you were like, yes, and you told me, like, you rationalized it. Mom was just like, you never went to college, you didn't cost us as much as the other two, so we figure you got a few bucks coming your way, and if this is what you want to do with it, this is your college money.
Is he not spoiled?
And no, that's not fucking spoiled. That's justice.
Staying home with his mom and dad.
And I did. I got a little payoff, man. So, but my question is this: I always felt that you guys were like, he'll make this little movie.
Yep.
He'll get it out of his system.
Yes.
And then he'll go be a waiter like his brother.
Well, I wasn't sure, I wasn't sure like a waiter like your brother, because you already got thrown into Long John's with Michael Bellicose.
Don't fucking tell them that. Yes. I'm no good with food prep. Moving on.
Okay. Anyhow, but no, I figured it really has to be something you get out of your whole system, and then you would go find yourself in the world, whatever was going to be your job or whatever.
Like a job.
Yeah.
Like eventually I'd get a job and I'd learn to be not lazy and stuff like that. Because let's be honest, I was kind of a lazy kid. I'm still very much a lazy individual, except when
You
it
don't cut
comes
his
to
own grass either. No.
Well, we don't have grass anymore.
I know.
But I'm lazy up until the point when it benefits me. Then I'm like fucking active as fuck. But like getting me off the couch to do a thing still like requires a lot of energy and whatnot. I just found a line of work that allows me to kind of be professionally lazy to some
So
degree.
one day I saw a Playboy magazine with him laying on a bed there. I remember.
I do. I'll never forget this. Yes.
Oh my God.
It was during Red State. The way you set it up, you're like, I saw him in bed with a Playboy magazine. It sounded way hotter than what you're about to hear, I tell you that.
Your father was upset.
It was during Red State when, I gave an interview and I was talking about retiring.
Yeah.
And
his father said, like hell he will.
Well, my father said nothing. He was dead at that point.
So he said, like hell you will.
Yes, exactly. So mom read the interview and like called me and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, what? She's like, I see you laying here on this bed and you've got dirty tissues around you. Like that was the joke in the picture. But she was like, and you're talking about like retiring and giving up. Like, oh my God, what are you talking about? I can't believe this is you. And I was like, yeah, Ma, I just reached a place where I'm gonna like stop. And she's like, you're not supposed to stop. Your father would have been so mad at you if you stopped and stuff like that. And I was like, I am never posing for a fucking photo on Rolling Stone again.
Not Playboy, sorry about that.
Yeah. All right, but wait a second. So, but that's way in the future, Mom. We're Clerks.
Okay.
First time you see Clerks.
Oh my God.
I've told the story many times where Mom goes, you spent $27,000 on that piece of garbage. But what?
Thank you for the nice words.
What? I mean, thank you for the nice words. What did you? That's obviously you had some issues with it. What were you thinking while you were watching the movie? Like, this is not what I thought he was
You
making.
mean the one that I watched at home that your brother stood up for me with no volume, no nothing? I just watched the movie itself.
No.
Trying to
That
figure it out.
volume,
Oh,
that's
that
why
one.
you were.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I turned it on. Daddy was with Virginia at a show or something like that in Pennsylvania, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this by myself. Okay, I can do this. And I looked like that, and I go, okay, turn the volume off, Grace.
And now, mind you, Mom is not familiar with me as somebody who used vulgarity at all, because we couldn't do that in my house.
My God,
Never
no.
cursed around my mother, and it's not like I cursed around others and she knew about it, just don't curse around me. Like, if she knew I'd been cursing, even in my 20s, she would have fucking tore me a new asshole.
So,
in many ways, like Clerks, her saying Clerks is my coming out party, where I'm like, this is who I really am. Like, when I'm around my friends, we talk about this fucked up shit, and we all curse, and we say weird things, but it's not bad, we're not bad people, but yeah, the language is pretty coarse. So, the initial exposure to that left a very disappointed mother.
yes.
Her whole point was like, people are gonna think I taught you all these fucking words. But Mom didn't. She never cursed. When she got mad, she'd be like, "Oh, HE double hockey sticks," but she was not a cursor and stuff. So, for the record, no, I didn't learn any of those words from Mom.
Ernie. No.
I did pick up some of them from Ernie for sure. But what would happen was, the movie got picked up and celebrated, and people were like, "Hey, your fucking son's smart." My mother was like, "Well, I always knew that." I mean, and the language of this movie, so real. You got very comfortable very quickly. Honestly, there are many days where, in the beginning, where I was like, I think I took this journey hoping that it would work out and I could get successful so that I could curse in front of my mother without getting in trouble. Because then at a certain point, like, I start cursing in front of my mom would be like, Kevin Patrick, and I'd be like, Mom, they pay me professionally to curse now. And she's like, have at it.
Because I can, like you said, it's been an up and down road from New York with the sneakers in the refrigerator, New York with the sneakers in the refrigerator, and everything else going back and forth on you and that. But Dad never gave up on you. Dad always said, he's going to find something. He's going to find it. And I said, I hope we're both alive while he does.
The two of you had this real, like, doom and gloom version of my career and shit. Like, Dad, I tweeted this the other day that Dad, when you told me this story. So after the Mallrats premiere, like, the whole family comes out to go see the movie in California and stuff. And afterwards, they
big posters on the drive up.
The billboard.
The billboards up there he had, and I was like, wow, we're taking pictures. The kids, Virginia and Donald and I.
She's like, my son's gonna be a millionaire. And then Mallrats flop.
That was a shocker.
But but I asked Mom, like, because Mom was always more forthcoming than Dad. Dad was a little more circumspect, and you couldn't really get his feelings out of him. And if you tried, he felt it and was like, hey. So I asked Mom, I was just like, what did Dad think? Because they'd just seen Mallrats and stuff. And my mom said, you said this, you go, your father said, well, he's no Steven Spielberg. But if he keeps doing it, maybe one day he'll be Kevin Smith. Yeah, I remember it, of course. There's some shit you take with you to the grave. You know? What was the, like, it seems like he kind of understood it before you did, in terms of like, holy shit, he made the right decision making this movie.
Yep.
What
Do
did
you
he?
remember though before?
Go ahead.
We came from seeing Daddy in the hospital.
Which
and
time?
Then, when he was in really for semi-stroke or something like that. But you had done some of the already the movie, right?
Yeah.
And you went into A&S or something like that to get a top. I was with you. When you came out, you looked at me and said, "Mom, what am I going to do next? All these people are looking up to me. What am I going to do next?"
The fuck?
Yeah, remember that?
No.
Yeah, when you came out.
And
And when we came out of A&S and got that
Abraham
blue
and
top.
Strauss.
Yeah.
And I had a top. And this is after
remember
Clerks.
And he said, "Yeah, they expect me. What am I going to do next now, Mom?" I said, "Follow your heart." And the thing is that there's something else is in there because you're on a roll, and it'll work out. But your mind is wonderful. When you get started, you just keep going and going.
Where'd that come from? You or him or both?
No, he had come from the hospital from him being in there, and he went to get the top in there.
No. Where did my beautiful mind come from? I mean, technically you're right. We all come from a hospital, but me, you, Dad, or the combo of you? Like when you look at me, do you see more of Dad? Or you see more of yourself?
No, your father.
Is that right?
Yeah, your father.
Most people say
people
that
say you look like me.
that like
I
they
say,
look
"God
at me
help
like,
me."
oh, you look like your mother. But
Yeah.
when you look at me, you see Dad, but do you also see yourself? Because I mean, look, we've just been competing for the microphone for like a half an hour. Like
I can probably out-talk you right now.
I think you're out of your fucking mind. I'll bet money on that challenge, lady. I hear that hoarse voice of yours. I'll take that money right now. I'll have you down for the count in an hour. Give you some Irish Bailey's Irish cream. You'll be fucking knocked out. Yeah, no, I mean, I can't imagine, but like when you look at me, that you don't see a lot of yourself, like particularly like in the chatterbox way that I am.
Well, now I realize that so much, and oh my God, I know where he came from, more me than his father, that's for sure. When his father talked, he was really good and insightful. Sometimes he'd really have a good joke or something like that, but when he did talk, it was really, something you remembered.
That's why my sister insists. She's like, "You stole Silent Bob from Dad." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "He never said shit until he had the perfect thing to say, and then he'd lay the bomb and walk away." In everything that's happened since like 1994, and I'll never forget. I saw the moment when the worm turned, where I was like, "Woohoo!" When we were at the premiere, the aforementioned premiere that Betsy talked about, what feels like 4 hours ago, when we had the premiere for Clerks, Mom was there, and Entertainment Tonight was there.
Oh, yes.
And so they were like, "We want to interview you," and I was like, "Can I bring my mother?" And they were like, "You fucking bet you can." They're like, "Oh, this is adorable TV, here we go." So, I figured, like, here, my mom's gonna give him, like, this shit's garbage and fucking, like, come at Clerks a little bit. You can leave it on women's stuff. Unless you want me to, you want to take it on?
That's my comic book shirt.
I know, but I thought you said you wanted to take it on.
Yes, but yeah.
But now
That's
you want to leave it on or on? You want to peel in front of all these people?
Yes.
Put your fucking clothes on, Grace.
It's okay.
Wait, where was I before we start taking the clothes?
The interview.
Yes, so I'm like, "Can I please be interviewed with my
I'm
mother?"
76 next week.
I know, you don't smoke nearly as much weed as me.
Gonna start.
So the interview begins, and I'm expecting Mom is going to be like, "Well, I don't, like this piece of garbage, blah blah blah." Like, can't imagine what she's going to say.
He was holding his breath.
But they're like, "So, what do you blah blah blah?" And they talk to me, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm here with my mom and like the premiere and blah blah blah. I'm being insouciant, fucking, I'm too cool for school, 90s Kev Smith." And then they were like, "What do you think of your son? And what do you think of his movie?" And she's like, "Well, some of the language you bristle at as a mother, but he's got a good head on his shoulders. He knows what he's doing. I like it." And right then and there, I'm like, I know she don't like this movie, but she's saying that she does to the press, so here we go. Like, fucking, now I got my mom on my fucking side. Now I can curse in front of my mother. For me, I've just been given tacit approval to curse in front of Mom, because I'm like, if she accepts the movie on Entertainment Tonight in front of the world, she has to accept me as a cursor for time immemorial. Since he's not here, and since you were, somebody who had many a conversation with him, what did the old man think
Your
of?
father?
Yeah, what did Dad think of? Like,
Thank you.
what was gonna happen? What did Dad think was gonna happen before Clerks, and then what did Dad think about what happened since
Well,
Clerks?
we figured you'd get out of your system, then we figured you got it out of your system now, and whatever, we just roll with it. But then all of a sudden, when everything popped, like one wow, he just said, "Oh my God, this boy is really going someplace." And I'm sorry. And then he also had figured that a whole different life for us, because you had us on airplanes, going to California, some nice young ladies picking us up in the limousine. That was the joy of his night. No, we can't.
My old man was in it for the perks and shit. He's like, look at the frillies, Grace.
I mean, it like seemed it rolled fast. I mean, it was, I know, some years in between the movies, but it didn't seem like that to us. It was like, wow, we're really going places. You moved us out from the little Highlands house that's now worth $400,000.
That house is worth $400,000.
$400,000, and the taxes are horrendous. And I paid $12,500 for it. $3,000 down and 9.5.
When you bought it,
9.5 for
What
20
year?
years. 1966.
the house that I grew up in, 21 Jackson Street in Highlands, they bought for like $12,000. And
Yeah, 12.5.
and when you sold it for what, 89 or something?
Yeah, 89.
And then years later, we went to shoot Clerks 2 there, back before the floods, and they had to raise the house. Now it's on
17
pedestals
feet.
and stuff. But back when it looked like the house we all grew up in, we
1,000 square feet.
that
One
what it was?
bathroom, 1,000 square feet.
That's what
Harley
Harley's
has.
house is.
Yep, that's where I live.
Are you
They told
shitting me?
Honest to God.
She lives in the house
I
the
looked
size
it
of
up.
Jackson Street.
1,000 square feet. I raised
crazy.
3 children and a man and a woman, husband and wife, in one bathroom. I mean, that's what it's trying to say.
Well, you
One
raised
bathroom.
3 children,
Yeah.
you were the woman and he was the man. You made it sound like I had 3 children and I raised 2 men and a man and a woman, feral in cages until they could speak and communicate and stuff. You're a great mother, but that's a little far.
Okay, all right. You're right.
It's nice to hear that, like, he was
Oh, yes.
surprised.
He would have loved to ride the ride I've been on since he's been passed on for 18 years now.
All the coke and the pills.
That's my doctor's prescriptions. Going down, but not without a fight. No, just every place I've been in my life, this man has taken his siblings, his brother, sister, and myself with him to England and to what I call my death wish means, my bucket list, to Paris to see Notre Dame before the fire.
We did. We went to see Notre Dame like a few years ago, and
Three.
we're all there. It's me and Mom and my brother and my sister, and we're
All
staying
this
like
first
right
class.
off the Quasette. It was really nice.
Oh my God.
And at one point, Mom's like, "This is great, Kev. Where'd you get this idea?" And I was like, "Mom, you literally, when you were in the hospital and you had that heart thing, you told me like you didn't want to die without going to Notre Dame. That's why we're in Notre Dame." She was like, "I said that?" I was like, "Yeah, that's the whole fucking reason we're here." She's like, "Oh, well, that's nice. Then I'm glad we're here."
And his father is missed so much, but I know he's watching over you all the time and taking care of you.
It was a wise investment of time, hanging out with one's kid, and money, buying tickets to movies and stuff, because that certainly laid the seeds for what would come for the rest of my life.
It was those points that you could see. That was your love. You followed
Slacker,
and you went ahead and just developed till you found it. And sooner or later, it was going to come out. Crazy little film, like you said, Mom, never be Spielberg. He's got a nice picture of Spielberg and him in my house in Florida together. Angel and the Devil.
No,
Right?
it's not Spielberg.
Oh,
That
no.
is Martin Scorsese. Both short directors, but yes, two
That's
different
Angel
things.
and Devil.
Yes, yes.
And the devil's over your head, your name, Devil. But no, I mean, they're great directors, both of them, anyhow.
Yeah.
But,
Very kind of you to give them that. No, they're both fine, both of those guys. But they're no tiger.
No. And he always said that to his father and I. He said, I'll never be a Spielberg or a Scorsese.
I said that because my father said it. I was like, well, apparently I'll never be a Spielberg.
Oh, right, because he didn't have that Good Will Hunting name, mentioned
Yeah,
to people.
I know.
Forgot. Even
My mother, as much as you may think that, like, I bet you it still bugs Kev that Ben and Matt didn't thank him on the Oscars when they won.
Oh, yeah.
It bugs my mother even fucking more. I have kept my mother out of the room with Ben Affleck for over 20 years because she's gonna be like, come here, mister. You forget my son's name?
Chris Rock even called you about that. I remember. You got the
Yes.
phone call.
Joe and Joey as well.
Yeah, Joy Lauren Adams.
Don't
right?
grind his goody gears, man. Poor fucking guy. He wrote in the book recently, he wrote a whole thing about that.
Did he?
Yeah, about fucking, forgetting the Oscar shout out.
I don't know if you
I'll
all
give it
saw
to
the
you.
Oscars way back, Good Will Hunting, but there he stood and they're looking at each other like, who are we supposed to
You're really gonna fucking tell the story? Alright, wait, we're gonna end.
For that TV, your father and I like, the name, he forgot the name. And your father and I are like, oh my God, I'd like to kill them both.
Whole world was celebrating Ben and Matt. My
Yeah.
parents are like, those Boston sons of bitches.
How did you forget the guy that brought your script back to Merrimack's?
Pretty fucking easily. They were very excited.
Yeah.
Things worked out.
Oh, yeah.
Long story short, Ma, we don't get to sit here in this theater. We don't get to meet all these kind of people and stuff. We don't get to make movies. We don't get to do any of those things. Had you guys not had an itch at one point in November of November 1969, apparently. That's what it would be. 69, nooch.
Your father and I went to vote, and then we come home. Then we come home, and he
You,
figured
my
November.
father, that you guys would go vote.
Yes, and then your father would come home and vote me.
Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps it's easy to see where the origins of that dirty little Clerks movie lie. Give it up for Grace Smith, man.